Jeff, how's it going, man?
Hey, Brett.
Hey, what's
Hold
happening?
on one second, brother.
Okay.
Um, Hold on 1 minute. You still there?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right. Nothing. It's just this happened to me. This has happened to me before. For some reason, like my anchor will like freeze up and like I have to X out of the screen where I invite friends and friends or whatever. Like the music just keeps playing and everything like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? That screen that you go on. Um. So, anyways, man, you sound good.
Yeah, I got the new mic, man, and I've got unlimited data, so it sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. All right, well, you ready to rock and
Yeah,
roll?
let's do it.
All right, hold on one second. Let me just see if there's anything I can do here. Um, let's see. I think it's recording. I think we're good.
Oh yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna count it down. You ready?
sure.
All right, here we go. Um, three, two, one. Hey, everybody. This is Jeff. I'm here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge again for the first time in a while, and I have with me Brett from Brett. I believe it's is it MCU Theory?
No, it's Marvel Plus.
Marvel Plus. I apologize. I got confused there for a minute. Marvel Plus.
That's all
Okay.
right.
That's your podcast,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay, great. And I've had Brett on before, and we've had a really good conversation before in the previous time. I want to thank everybody who decides to check out my podcast as usual, and everybody who decides to check out Brett's. We appreciate it, and I definitely appreciate any reviews or likes or follows or whatever you can do on your end. I definitely appreciate it. So thank you very much, everybody in the audience. But so Brett, I'm very interested to find out what your thoughts are on WandaVision as a whole so far. And then I guess we can delve into episode 3. But what are your thoughts on the whole series so far?
Well, so it seems to be a really polarizing show. I've noticed that even a lot of hardcore MCU fans, a lot of them are not liking this slow burn, of WandaVision, how they're drawing it out so much. Now each episode is literally like a full episode of a classic sitcom show. They're playing it out all the way through, all the way to the conclusion of the little pretend story. And I've seen a lot of people say like it's just too much. Like they get it, they get the gag, but let's get on with the superhero stuff. And I don't fall on that side. I really like what they're doing. I'm happy to dive into something that's wildly different from what we've seen before, and I'm enjoying it very much.
Me too. I really embrace it myself. I'll be honest with you. I didn't realize that there was that much polarization to tell you the truth. I'm glad you told me
Yeah,
that. Um, so people basically, so they're just like they get the gag is what you're saying, and like at that point they think they should just go ahead and open the floodgates.
yeah. I think they wanted it to happen a little bit faster. Like they kind of know where it's going, but everyone's like, well, if this wasn't a Marvel show, I wouldn't even be watching. It's like, well, yeah, no,
But do they though? But do they though, Brett? You know what I mean? Like honestly, when it boils down to it, do we really know exactly what's going on with the show?
no, but just in terms of like, we know it's a Marvel show. We know it's a superhero show. We
Yeah.
know that Wanda has, mind manipulation powers and, extreme abilities, right? So we know that this is an MCU series. So people going in, they know what they're getting, in terms of, or they they expect a certain thing, right? And I think that
Yeah.
I think that they're just like wanting it to happen a little. They're used to the films, right? They're used to getting right into it and having the film play out in front of them in a nice little 2 hour chunk. And WandaVision, we're getting about 4.5 hours, 5 hours of content, and so they really have to draw the story out. It doesn't make sense to get right into the action. Uh,
I don't know how you couldn't go into it and not know there was going to be a ton of supposition.
Yeah. I think people knew that it was going to be different, obviously from the trailers, but they just they didn't realize how much. They didn't realize that that first episode was going to be all in the 50s, and the second episode was going to be all in the 60s, and they were going to have to watch a whole classic sitcom, you know. But like I said,
Well, maybe it's partially, maybe it could have something to do with like the age of the audience, depending. Could that be a factor? Do you think?
it possibly, but I feel like this is the same audience that has been watching the MCU for the past 10 years. You know, obviously there's some new people, but no one is watching WandaVision as their first experience with an MCU film, you know, or with MCU content. Like,
no.
So yeah, I've heard people say, if this wasn't a Marvel show, I would have given up on it already. And I'm like, dude, yeah, that's the whole point, is that it's a Marvel show. Like, you know, it's like, duh. Yeah, we're all here to see the superhero shit. But yeah, it's a different medium. We need to give it a chance to play out in serial fashion.
I agree with you 100%. I definitely embrace and enjoy the dynamic of the show. I think that I guess I expected it to be a build up. I think it's 9 episodes, Brett, altogether is what the series is going to be. And they've been averaging around like what, 35 minutes, 33 minutes, or 32 minutes.
Yep, right around sitcom length. You know, right around the 30-minute mark. And I think all of these in WandaVision are going to be around that 30-minute mark, just because of the theme of the show. Now, I've heard that other series like Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki and things like that will have varying running times. So some episodes will be a little longer, some will be a little more drawn out. It'll be different from series to series.
Oh, see, I hadn't heard that, so I'm glad that you brought that up. That's very interesting. I could see why it would be that way, though, because they're different types of series.
For sure.
I mean, the WandaVision show is very, it's a very inward show. I mean, the cast isn't very huge. Like, when they go through the characters at the beginning of the show that they introduce, they only really introduce, Wanda, and Vision and Catherine Hahn's character, Agatha Harkness. I'm assuming Agatha Harkness. That's all they mention, really. Let me ask you a question. Going into episode 3, just because this is something that piqued my interest. What do you think happened exactly during that conversation where Vision was talking to Agatha and Herb, and she stopped Herb from talking? I think he was going to say we're all dead.
Could be. It could be that, like, the fact that Vision is there, and we believe him to be dead from Infinity War. So a lot of people are thinking that he was either going to say, we're all prisoners here. Some people think that he's going to say, and I lean a little more towards this, that we're not real, or something like that. But yeah, I hadn't thought about that we're all dead. I mean, that would make sense, though. That'd make a lot of sense. Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, because Vision is dead. These could be all versions of people that she's brought back into her little
That's the step that brought me to it, was the fact that Vision's dead and he's confronting Herb's talking to Vision. You know what I mean? At that point, the most eminent thing that I can think of is the fact that Vision's dead. He's not real. He's not tangible. And you can see differences in his character that are very tangible, that are different than the movies, as far as like how he's reacting to things that Wanda's doing and stuff like that, and that are happening, like the pregnancy, for instance. Like, I wouldn't expect the Vision from the movies to react as well as Vision did about the pregnancy.
And I think another thing too, and now this is where I kind of lean the other way, that maybe somehow Vision is really back alive, because he seems to be pretty autonomous. Like, in this scenario. Like, he doesn't seem like he's being controlled, and he's questioning everything around him, which seems, I don't know, that seems more like somebody that is sentient, like a real, has a real existence.
That's actually something unique. That's something I wanted to ask you about and talked about. Is that autonomous, thing they have going on with Vision, where he is like independently making decisions and everything like that during the framework of the reality. Like, it does beg you to wonder, like, what's, is he alive? Like, it's very possible. Like, it wouldn't put me past Marvel Studios to bring back Vision, at all. You know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, I mean, that's where the suspense comes in, I guess, because Agatha Harkness in the comic books was dead and like brought back to life. You know what I mean? Like, to assist Wanda and everything like that. I believe that she's a villain in this series. I really do. I believe that she's working for Mephisto without question.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a big theory going around.
situation.
Like I said, just even calling her Agatha is still, it's still, it's still a prediction at this point. But most people seem to think it's going that way. But one thing about Marvel Studios that I think is interesting is a lot of times they will give us these red herrings, right? They'll give us something to kind of keep our attention and focus on and theorize about, and then do something completely different. For example, Spider-Man Far From Home, right? Like, a lot of people got excited that they were introducing the multiverse already because Mysterio was claiming to be from another Earth, and that I bought in. I thought 100% like, oh, they're gonna introduce the multiverse for the first time, and then it's like, oh, just kidding, he was lying, and I just think that's just one example of the kind of thing that Marvel likes to do, because they know their fans. That's why they're so good at what they do. They know their fans. I think a lot of them, a lot of the creators are fans, and so they're really good at knowing what people are going to think about the show, or what theories they might have. If they give us this little Easter egg, what direction we might go with it when trying to predict things. And I just think they're really smart that way. They throw some curveballs every once in a while. So I don't know. It seems to me that having the character Agatha and having Mephisto in this series, along with a lot of other things that it seems like they're doing, it seems like an awful lot to cram in there for people. A lot of story,
I believe the whole time, ever since that they hired Evan Peters for the series, that he's going to be Mephisto. That's been my take on the whole thing. Like, that's my firm belief. In my gut, I believe Evan Peters is in the series to be Mephisto.
Yeah,
and I can see him
I kind of
Mephisto.
think the theory that he's going to be playing an alternate version, that like his Quicksilver character from 20th Century Fox films. I think it's a little silly. If it did turn out to be that, it'd be a little disappointing, because I'd be like, way too on the nose, like way too, you know what I mean? Like, come on. Yeah.
It makes too much sense. To bring the Fox properties.
Yeah, even if they did it just for a one-off, like say they only did it for this series and they just showed this other reality for just a second, it still wouldn't make sense, because Wanda wouldn't recognize that as her brother. It doesn't make any sense. And a lot of people are saying that he might be her son when they show him grown up as Speed, right? And that's another theory. But like I said, a little too on the nose, man. I think it'd be lazy writing if they did that, and I don't think they'll do it.
Yeah, I don't think Kevin Feige is about recycling actors from other films like that to you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's the vision that Marvel has as far as like what they want to do with their characters, with the future. If they're going to set up the Young Avengers and everything and whatnot with and have Wiccan and Speed be a part of that, which I believe they are going to do, then at that point, it'll be interesting to see how that whole process unfolds. But I would not expect that they would use Evan Peters for that or at all. I would think that they
it's
would
a little too obvious. I've kind of thought from the beginning too. When I first saw that theory, I was like, no, he's probably playing someone completely unrelated.
Yeah, yeah. And so, what do you think? I mean, do you think it's that Mephisto has a presence in
I
the
don't.
series
I
right
mean,
now?
the theory makes sense. I get it. I honestly wasn't that versed in um, comic book storylines, but a lot of people who are seem to think that's the path.
Hmm.
So I'll trust that, and until I see different. But for the most part, I'm just enjoying letting it unfold. Like it almost sometimes I almost get upset that 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 I am trying to figure it out too much. You know what I mean? Like so much so that I might not enjoy the story as much because I'm too busy trying to figure out, what it is and what they're doing. Like I don't know. I every once in a while I just like to let stuff unfold, and it's hard to do in this series. It really is. Like everything makes you want to figure out what's going on. Like that's kind of the point of it.
Isn't that the MCU though too? Like, I mean, we all pick apart the MCU properties when stuff comes out, when the
Yeah.
films come out. We're used to the Easter eggs and the whole that whole game. Like, it's a big part of the whole like part of being an MCU fan. I think isn't that kind of like a key part of the process where we almost are. We've been
Yeah.
trained to like
Yeah, for sure. I
view
mean, I'm
WandaVision
not
through that
denying that.
lens.
I catch myself sometimes getting so wrapped up in like stuff we haven't even seen yet, and like, um, you know, going so far with a theory is like we don't even know this next part yet, right? But I'm already trying to guess where that next part is going, and I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. We don't even know that it's going there yet, not really. So it's like I gotta remind myself, like, okay, we're still that still hasn't been revealed yet. Like I forget sometimes. You know what I mean?
I think that like there's a dichotomy that I haven't really thought about until just
Hmm.
now,
Hmm.
where when you're an old school comic book fan like I am, there's that dichotomy where you want to understand what's exactly what's going on with the story
Right.
because you want to identify it from
Right.
the comic
Yeah.
book standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Does
another
that make
thing
sense?
about this series that I think is interesting, um,
And
is all the comic book Easter eggs, stuff that MCU fans, people who weren't comic book fans, really don't know much about. But it seems to me that a lot of the creators come from the comic book world, right? And they're putting stuff in there for the comic book fans, even though this is kind of a different universe, right? This isn't the 616. This is the MCU, right? I think it's cool that they're doing that for the old school comic book fans, like putting those little Easter eggs from comic books in there, like the toaster and things like that.
yeah, it's fan service, and it's a good point to make.
Yeah,
It is basically all the people who are involved in the comics with Marvel that made Bondivision basically, like Louis Esposito and I'd have to I don't know have their names written down or anything like that, but I know who I'm talking about. All the different people that help Kevin Feige run Marvel, his confidants and everything. The inner circle, I
right.
guess, of you could call almost of like the MCU creators, the people who really know what's going on in the behind the scenes, like for the next 6-7 years and everything that we don't know about yet. You're right. They are very good at like building stories, and I think that's a really good emphasis that you made. Is in is that reality that maybe it is a little bit of it overdoing it to like
Mhm.
speculate so much when we should just be enjoying the series. I mean, it is a series after all. It is an episodical deal. At that point, we should
Mhm.
we should almost want it to like
Yeah,
unfold
yeah, and I think
slowly
I
over
catch
time.
myself jumping too far ahead of myself. That sometimes like making predictions based on predictions. Like I'm already way ahead of the story, and I don't know. I want to enjoy what's there. But another thing that
What
well, something that you
what do you
brought
think
up
about?
earlier
Oh, go
when you
ahead.
were
Go
asking
ahead, Brett.
kind
Go
of
ahead.
what I thought was going on, um, I'm I'm leaning towards a little bit of everything, right? I'm leaning towards the people in this town being real people. This is based on the Monica Rambeau slash Geraldine character. Okay, um, this is where this comes from, but that the
Hmm.
people in this town, at least most of them, are real people that that normally have some autonomy, but when Wanda is super focused, right, on keeping her little illusion together, she has some sort of control over them, right? Mind control over them. Um, Much like we saw in Age of Ultron, right? And I think that, like Herb, I think Herb is probably a real guy. I don't think he's dead. I really don't. I think he's a guy. Now, and I think that when Wanda is super focused on controlling her illusion, she's basically in complete control of how people act and behave. But when she starts to lose it a little bit, they gain a little bit of that autonomy back and kind of glitch. Like we've seen these characters have these little glitches, right? And I think that's just Wanda losing her focus and them getting a little bit of their autonomy back and not knowing how to behave and freaking out a little bit. Like Herb cutting through.
But how do you explain then? How do you explain the constant we have to do it for the children and everything vibe to the series that we've
No, I
had
think
and everything? If there isn't like a
that's what I was
Mephisto
going to
behind
say.
the scenes, you know what I mean? That's where as Mephisto. Like I think
Mhm.
I think of the
Could
people
be,
being from
could
like
be,
from hell.
but it
You
seems
know what
like
I mean?
Wanda has quite a bit of control here. Like with, if she doesn't like how something is playing out, she can rewind it and replay the scene altogether. Um, and when she does that,
Mhm.
Vision has no recollection of her rewinding. You know, it's just like doing another take.
But
Hmm.
her goal, her overarching goal of
Right,
doing
right.
that
Yeah, I
is to
understand. I
continue living in the
think what I'm
fantasy.
thinking is that yes, I think that the Agnes character, who most believe to be Agatha, I believe that she is somehow here manipulating as well. Like I think it's Wanda's illusion originally, and this Agnes character, Agatha, is infiltrating it in a way. She's doing things, and I think that that's where the do it for the children stuff comes from. I think, yeah, I think she's influencing Wanda's illusion somehow.
Yeah. And the way I think about it is it's just like
Yeah,
the comic books. Like I think they want Mephisto wants the children. Like he wants them just like he did in the comics. Like that's how it's going to play out. That's how I think it's going to happen. And that's my take. But again, I could be
could be.
wrong. Maybe Wanda's just sleeping in the sword
Could be
base
both.
and
Could
like
be that
dreaming.
she's
You know what I mean? Like
sleeping
you
in the
never
sword
know.
base. She's creating this illusion. Someone else with powers, like Agnes, like Agatha, um, is in her head. You know, absolutely. Or like I said, this could be
Yeah.
a real town
Infiltrating.
that has been taken over by Wanda, or maybe not. Maybe it's a town that's created by someone else, and she's stuck in it, but she's creating an illusion to deal with the reality of being imprisoned. I don't know.
Did you enjoy the visuals of outside of the town
Yeah,
when we saw
yeah,
Monica
yeah, yeah.
Rambeau
That's
get
that was like it was
spit
like the
out like
first
that?
moment that
I
really
loved it.
was like, okay, this is the Marvel universe. Like, we got outside of that little bubble, that little pocket universe, or whatever it is, and saw like the real world again for really the first time. Like we saw a little glimpse when in the first episode when they zoomed out and you saw the sword agent watching the sitcom on a small monitor. But this was the first time we saw real people, um, and it gave us, the idea. Monica Rambeau, had kind of confirmed the idea that she's been sent in on some sort of mission there. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, I love that's actually what I was going to ask you is
Yeah,
what
I
is
think
your
it's great,
how do you
and
feel about her
something that I
character
that
because
I
I love
talked
her
about on
already.
my episode 3 review that I had over on the Marvel Plus podcast was that I'm not sure how much, like I said about the autonomy of the characters within the dome, within the town. It seems like while these people are in there, Wanda has influence over their behavior, because it didn't seem like Geraldine, right, was just acting really well. It seemed like she was in a character. Like, I don't think she was pretending to play along. I think she was actually under a little bit of control, but I think she was sent in there. And I'm thinking that when they sent her in, they warned her, like, hey, once you're in there, um, it's going to be
Yep.
tough to remain in control. You're going to be taken over a little bit, but we need you to go in and do this or that, or talk to Wanda or whatever. And I think for a second there, she broke out of it. Yeah.
They have an idea of what's going on. So, geez, I wish I would have wrote down the name of the actress that actually plays Monica Rambeau's character. I honestly can't wait to see
Yeah.
her in Captain Marvel 2 after seeing her in WandaVision. She's been great. That scene where she did break her character or
Yeah.
whatever and like start talking about Pietro being killed by Ultron and everything and whatnot. I
Mhm.
agree with you that it's obvious.
Yep. And then
To me,
she
she
kind of
seemed like she was drinking the Kool-Aid like
she
everybody
broke
else in the
away from it
town.
a little bit. I think that Wanda's
What
labor, pregnancy and labor, the rapid succession there, I think that broke her concentration in a big way. And that's why things started falling apart, right? Like, you saw the background going crazy, the lights bursting, power going out, and Herb cutting through a wall. And yeah, then, the character Geraldine, it kind of, it feels like Wanda's grasp on her kind of let up a little bit, and then it was like she remembered what she was there for a second. Like, oh, I'm supposed to be talking this person down, or question, bringing Wanda back to reality or something. It was interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And what do you think about the storks? Like, see now again, I think for me that was I was like, oh, that's got to be Mephisto. When I first saw that happen when I was watching the show, the first thing I wrote down in my notes was
Mhm.
Mephisto when I saw the storks, just because Wanda couldn't make them go away.
Yeah,
It was the
that's
first
true.
thing in the reality that we've seen
I
so
don't know.
far that
Like I
she
said,
couldn't
that could
control.
be an outside force, like you're saying. I mean, I think her having children altogether was an outside force. I don't remember her wanting children. You know what I mean? It was definitely something that was influenced from outside. But not being able to
Yeah,
get rid of the storks, it could be that, or it could be just the fact that, like I said, her concentration was slipping everywhere. Like, she wasn't able to control um, Herb. She wasn't able to control the doctor. She wasn't able to control. She lost her grip on Geraldine. So it could have just been that, like her losing her focus. I don't know. I'm excited though to see it unfold.
yeah. I mean, there's some. Oh, me too. Yeah, me too. There's some people that think it could be Nightmare, potentially even could be possibly doing something right now, and that could have something to do with what's going on. That
Hmm.
Nightmare from the comics, who works with Mephisto, is like serves under Mephisto,
Yeah,
and is a lot of people believe is going to be the main villain in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
could be.
um, that he could be manipulating her dreams right now in some way or something like that. There's definitely other like there's definitely
Yeah.
other influences going on in this reality than just hers. There's no question about that. But there's a lot to like take in terms of like, with Vision again, the fact that he really has the Mind Stone in his head and everything
Hmm.
like that, and
Yeah.
that he uses it in the trailer to wake Agnes up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's Mind Stone. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
how could like
Right.
it's insane to think
Very
that she's
strange.
that powerful that she could
So
recreate an
yeah,
Infinity Stone.
that leads you to wonder, like, is he somehow really alive? Like, it would be crazy, but it's not beyond the realm of possibility when it comes to Marvel Studios.
No,
Right.
characters coming back from the death is like a
Oh,
all the time thing in Marvel. It's
Yeah, it's
definitely
definitely,
happened
and
multiple
well,
times.
I'd say it's definitely
I mean,
prevalent in the comic books. Like, no one ever
go
stays
ahead,
dead.
Brett.
Like, that's a thing, right? It's like no one ever stays dead in the Marvel comics. It's almost annoying to a point. Like, it's so often that you can't even get really upset when someone dies because you know they'll be back. And I was always hoping that the MCU wouldn't do that, at least as much. I want there to be some finality and some real consequence, when it comes to the films. But I don't put it past them to bring some characters back. No, not at all.
Yeah, me too. Me too. No, to bring back Vision. I mean, honestly, I hadn't really thought about it
Yeah,
that
and you got
much,
to
but
think.
it is a very plausible thing that could happen.
You have to think
never
about all the
know.
actors that they've dealt with
I
so
mean,
far, right? The ones who have
we
basically
don't know.
been retired. Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, like these main characters. Well, it makes sense that they're done. Their contracts were for so many movies or whatever, and how many minutes on screen did they spend? And then compare that with how many minutes on screen you got from Vision and Wanda. It's nothing. I mean, I think I saw someone posted something on YouTube of every Wanda Maximoff scene, right, from the MCU, and it added up to less than 20 minutes of screen time. So, I feel like they're going to keep her around for a while. And same thing with Paul Bettany, right? Like, he wasn't used that much at all. He was used in one movie, but not really most of the movie. And then we had
no, I think she's. I do think that I think she's going to step. I think she's become the
do you
new
think she becomes the villain
lead of like the MCU.
at some point?
I think she's like I think she's become that now.
Right, like a house.
It's a possibility that she could
like a
become
House
a
of
villain
M
and then
scenario.
become a hero again after that. I think that's definitely a possibility. Yeah. I mean, I really did think
I think it would be a little too much. Like I said, with so much in this story, like all these possibilities, right? Mephisto, Nightmare, the introducing Sword, really, for the first time. All these things, it seems like an awful lot to push into one series. Yeah.
Monica Rambeau. Which I mean, shit. I'm not sure what name they're going to give her. She had several different names in the comic books. As she was, of course, was Captain Marvel at one point. And she has awesome powers. I don't know how they're going to do. I don't know how they're going to do that. But like, I don't think she has powers at this point. But I would assume that she will eventually, probably. And they are going to have her.
It's looking that way, and
a major part of the Avengers.
Hopefully, they do
down the road.
Yeah, I know she's been several different. Gone by several different monikers in the comic books. So I kind of don't think she will be Captain Marvel. I think it will be one of the other monikers that she's had. That's my prediction. I just think that Captain Marvel, because then they've already got the Ms. Marvel series coming out. So you know that there's going to be a Captain Marvel 2. You know there's a Ms. Marvel series.
Yep.
I just think that's... And there'll probably be more going forward, right? Like with Captain Marvel, there may be a third film. There may be. Go ahead.
I think I'm doubling down. I'm all with Captain Marvel. Like I'm not giving up on Captain Marvel at all and Brie Larson like at all. I've got
I don't think Marvel makes too many mistakes in their cast. I actually want
to see her succeed.
You know what I mean? I think they've done. I trust them with just about anything after what they've given us for the past decade. Like I could have questioned a lot of things. Like honestly, when they first cast, Chris Evans. Actually, when they first said they were going to do a Captain America film. I questioned that in itself. Like, is this really going to work? How are they going to make, you know what I mean? How are they going to make a Captain America film at this day and age and people take it seriously? But my God, it's the best trilogy of the entire MCU.
It is. Yeah, without question. Civil War is my number one MCU film of all time. I think it's better than any other MCU film.
Yeah, it's up there.
Not Civil War. I'm sorry. The Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. I'd say number one, and a close second would be Civil War. And I think the first film was really good too. I was really surprised when I saw it in 2010. I'm like, wow, I did not expect that. Did not expect it.
I think you have to put Infinity War and Endgame in different categories almost than those Captain America
Yeah,
films.
yeah, those are. I mean, those are teen films. Those might as well, those are Avengers films. So, um, I definitely feel like it's a different thing. It's each
It is.
trilogy or movie with a sequel. Each one of those individual character films feels different to me than the team films.
Yes. No, you expect the team films to be grandiose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you don't know what to expect from the solo franchisee movies.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's it's not hit or miss because it's Marvel, but I don't think anybody ever expected you. I think you got to give the Russo brothers credit for Captain America Winter Soldier, because I think that really put them on the map.
Yeah, and then going into Civil War, and then Infinity War and Endgame was like their creation as well. It's like I feel like they've done the most for these stories out of any of the writers and directors.
Yes, without question. And just imagine what we talked about it before. I'm not going to relitigate the Infinity War and Endgame right now. And plus, I think Brett, you probably have to go by now.
Yeah.
You?
Unfortunately, I'm about to take off to work. So, but I was happy to be on, man.
Oh, that's okay. I'm really happy to have you again, and thank you very much for your time. And again, you can find Brett at Marvel Plus. That is his podcast. It's on everything, I believe. So, I mean, you can find it. You can find it on any platform. And thank you very much, Brett, for being on again.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. I can't wait. By the way, Jeff, I can't wait to have you on my podcast this weekend to cover episode 4 of WandaVision.
Yes, it's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm
awesome,
very excited.
Man. It's fun talking to you.
You too. Take care, Brett. We'll talk to you later, everybody.